Greetings, everyone. This is Mike Riley, the voice of Ironman. And this is the Old School Tri Show with my Kiwi mates Cameron Harper and Brian Ashby. The show that talks about all things triathlon, old and new. We're powered by Ansco Foods, bringing you nutrition and good health from New Zealand's beef and lamb. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome along to another edition of the Old School Tri Show, brought to you by our good friends at Ansco Foods. And today, Brian, well, triathletes come from all corners of the globe, and today we head to the Deep South.
Yeah, Dunedin this time around. And look, in New Zealand, we produce some incredible sports people. A lot of them just absolutely fly under the radar. And this person fits that brief. She won Ironman New Zealand. She had success overseas, multiple podiums at Ironman New Zealand. Her name, Fiona McKee.
Ansco Foods is proud to be the new naming partner of Ironman New Zealand, ensuring every stroke, pedal and stride is powered by the best nature has to offer. Ansco Foods is on a mission to bring nutrition and good health from New Zealand's finest beef and lamb. Ansco Foods, putting the iron in Ironman with New Zealand's finest beef and lamb. Visit anscofoods.com/Ironman to find out more.
Well, it's a real treat to be joined by today's guest on the Old School Tri Show, because I guess back when she was racing, both Ironman and I think even more so, women's sport wasn't shown a great deal of respect. So Fiona McKee, thank you for joining us on the Old School Tri Show. And has it been, since we approached you a week or two ago, has it been a little bit of sort of like, oh, hang on, I think I've sort of forgotten everything. That was a lifetime ago.
I can't remember different things, or some things go into, I wouldn't know which year anything was, and I can just have vague memories. Yeah.
Was it I sort of looking back and reading and doing a little bit of research and preparing for our chat and so on here, it almost feels as if you sort of kind of stumbled into the sport. You went to the race in '88, your flatmate raced, and you thought, oh yeah, that's not bad, I'll give it a go. Is that exactly how it was?
Oh, it was actually my boyfriend then at the time. Because I was doing triathlons, but not long distance, and so he finished just, but then mind you, his training the last few weeks before he did the Ironman didn't go very well because due to work commitments, so he couldn't actually train. He was on a boat for about 2-3 weeks before his race, and then but he did finish in the end, but had to walk obviously part of the marathon. But anyway, I just looked at the field and other people and thought, oh, I'll give it a go next year. Yeah.
So winding the clock back before that, you had actually you'd raced triathlons.
Yeah.
And you come from a running background.
Mainly running. Yeah, I always loved running, and to my flatmates I flatted with, they were doing triathlons in the very early 80s probably. And I got into it that way probably because they're also friends from running too, but they were doing the triathlons. So I started doing triathlons and trying to train for it. I just trying to think when exactly I started, but I'm not sure now. But I can remember coming to Auckland in '85, won the Nationals or something. Yeah.
Oh, so you way back.
Yeah.
But this was out of Dunedin, wasn't it? You weren't living in Auckland. You were a student in Dunedin. Dunedin is where you grew up.
I was actually working in Dunedin.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working as a laboratory technician in Dunedin then. Yeah.
And so you found the sport in Dunedin. That was where you got into it.
Well, the first race I ever did was the Queenstown or Lake Hayes Triathlon at Christmas.
Yeah, famous race.
Yeah, it was. It's not a Olympic distance, but it's nearly Olympic distance, so it's quite a long way for the first thing you ever do. So yeah.
And with your background, was it running? Was that through school, or was that through club, or how did that were you just?
I did athletics at school, but in some cross country, and then sort of in netball, sort of tennis sports, but not so much as much athletics as I would. And then later on, when I was in Dunedin, I joined the Harrier Club early 20s, I guess. Yeah. So.
Just because, or for social reasons, or fitness
social reasons,
or
and I liked running, so yeah.
So how did try? I mean, because in the 80s, triathlon's a really young sport, and Dunedin, it kind of seems a little bit of an unlikely place to get into the sport because I'm from Christchurch. It's cold enough here. Dunedin is a little bit colder, and so again down here, and open water swimming and the like.
Oh yeah, well I guess everyone swam in a pool, so that was fine. But definitely, some of the races in the summer, and especially in the open water rather than the harbour, that was actually rather cold. Yeah, but lots of hills and everything for running and cycling, but then lots of bad weather, especially in the winter. Yeah.
And what sort of, in your running, what sort of distances were you running? Like, were you a 15? Were you a track runner? Were you a 10K runner? Were you marathons? What were you doing?
Harriers, and then I did some half marathons and stuff. And the Ironman was my first marathon. And then I did the quick, done 2 or 3 marathons since, straight marathons, and then Christchurch marathon when I wasn't doing triathlons in between. That was my first solo marathon, I guess, rather than a triathlon. Yeah. Few weeks. Yeah.
And so you go to Auckland and you watch your boyfriend who's been out on the water for 3 weeks and has this weird sort of day and gets the job done anyway. I think, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm going to be an Ironman. You were self-coached, so just tell us about how you prepared for your first Ironman, and because it's not like today, you can't just sort of go online and drag out programs and the like. How did you sort of go about that?
Well, before I did the Ironman, the year before, I think I'd done the Southland half Ironman.
Is that in Gore?
No,
it's
in Chicago. It was a swim in the Reti River or Reti Beach, and then you cycled out to Edendale or something. I can remember it was like a tailwind, howling southerly. You cycled all the way out 90k. You turned around and then, that's right, 45k. Sorry, because it's half, and then you dragged yourself back the other way, and then the marathon was pretty much the same, but obviously shorter distance. And I just remember it both ways. It was a howling headwind back to the finish. But
nothing worse than having a bike ride that you think you're through the headwind, then suddenly it turns. You're like, oh bugger, I've got another one.
So anyway, so I mean, I guess I'd done that before I did the Ironman, and then I just did the Ultraman in February before the Ironman. But when I did the Ironman, there was a few guys from Dunedin that also were training the same year for the race. So like you would have heard of John Knight and Mark Elliott. So they're friends. So I used to go do some training rides and that with them. Yeah.
Well, of course, Mark.
They're not bad training partners, are they?
No.
That's me.
And Mark, of course, with his amazing coaching credentials and piecing together programs, was he doing that sort of thing back then? Did you lean on him for advice? Because we know what a great coach he did become.
No, I don't know. No, maybe I might have asked John Knight actually, because I was friends with both, but probably closer to John and Judy. So
John,
but I really can't remember. Just sort of trying to do stuff. Have a long run once a week and go up with the guys on the weekends. Because I was working full time, of course. And then I guess just fit some swimming in the mornings before work at the pool.
So, but aside from the pool, seems to me that cold water didn't really bother you too much in the open water then, given the races that you were doing.
I never really liked really cold water. Definitely struggled. But at least Auckland's a lot warmer. So it's bad on the race day. The worst thing is actually, swimming's not my best part of the sport, and you can get quite, punched up and bashed up, in a big race. I'd hate to actually think nowadays, but compared to when you're a really good swimmer, you can just get out the front and don't have to worry about that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
For
yeah.
you, were you intimidated at all by thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm going to give this Ironman a go when you're watching your then boyfriend, or did you sort of think to yourself, heck, this could be a lot of fun. Why not? Let's do it.
Well, I thought, I could do okay on it. That's what I thought. I don't know about a lot of fun, but yeah, because it's always painful, no matter if you're the winner or the loser. If you finish the distance, it's it's quite hard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when you got to race day in 1989, and this was the first year in Auckland where they raced
No, it was the second year, full distance.
The second year full distance. I beg your pardon. 88 was the first, and
Yeah,
89 was
then
the
they made that other. I'm not sure what the exact distance was previous, because my oh, that's right. My friend Jeff, also another friend, he had done the shorter distance, the long, 3/4 Iron, I guess.
Yes.
And then, that's right, because he came up and did the 88 Ironman, but he didn't finish. But he's a really good swimmer, and he got out on the bike, and I think he probably went too hard, and then he just killed himself, or cooked himself. So the time he got the run, I think he just pulled out. But he was,
yeah. So what, when you got to the start line in 89, what were your expectations? Did you feel really well prepped with experienced guys like Mark and John Knight around you? What were your expectations for the day?
I was hoping to get in the top 10, but and finish it, but I didn't have any expectations, because that length of cycle, for instance, was beyond what I've ever done and things like that. And I guess the swim excuse me, was going to be, everything was going to be longer, and I don't know, just have to take it as it comes. And I guess, because I've done triathlons before, what the swim's like when you first start, so you just got to try and get into a good group as much as possible, and complete it.
Yeah. What were your recollections of the swim? I think Sue Preble sort of set the pace on the swim that day, but you were, I think, in the sort of the next group of women.
All I can remember is, because back then it was 1,500 meters out, and about or so, and about a K across, and another 15 back, whatever it was, roughly. So it was. I mean, I don't get seasick, but I always notice because you're so far out in the channel, towards Rangitoto, that it's actually quite a bit of a swell right at the end before you go around. Yeah. So, and I think now that's quite a long way out, actually. When you think the ferries and also like all the yachts and all that sort of stuff going past now, because of course they changed the swim later on at Auckland and had it close to the shore.
Because you're right, Fiona. Once you get out there and the wind can come through the channel, and it's, regardless of which way the tide's going, it sucks quite hard through there, doesn't it? The water really pulls you around.
I just remember it was just quite choppy at the back of it. But
Were you good? Were you a good navigator? Were you good at sighting?
Not necessarily. No, definitely not. Depends. But obviously it must have been a reasonably calm day, and it was full tide, and Yeah.
So you got out of the water, and you're pretty well positioned. I think you were 6 down, but I think the leader, Sue Preble, I think she might have pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
How did the sort of bike go? Tough old bike course up there on that old Auckland course.
It's definitely very hilly and undulating, but going through town, going through out past Glen Innes, etc., and then out over Sandstone. That was a big climb for everyone. And then once you get through that, then it's a really undulating, especially around to Kawakawa Bay. Then you get in the bush, and it's quite reasonably technical and hilly to the turnaround. I'm pretty sure it was Kawakawa Bay that year.
Yep. It was. I can't remember. I'll have to think of it. It'll come to me. There was a letterbox for a gentleman. It was not far from. The turnaround was outside a letterbox of. I'll think of it soon as to what the guy's name was, and the turn was not far from there. And you're exactly right. It gets pretty rural pretty quickly out there, doesn't it?
And it's especially interesting. carrying back to Auckland ages after the triathlons, when when you went out past Howick and all those, was how built up it is now compared to the old Ironman. When you used to go past that church, it was just rural, but it's not now.
Not now,
No.
is it? There's kids' parks and everything around that now on Chapel Road.
Yeah,
you
Chapel
go out
Road,
through what's now Botany.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
And what were you like, like managing hydration and nutrition, those sort of things then? Were you all over that? Because, I mean, this is, again, it's sort of new.
Look,
it's new in the sport. Did you manage yourself well? It was a hot old day, I
I
think.
can remember it was actually really hot. Probably one of their hottest days, I think. It was, it was more a fluke. And, just getting drink bottles and stuff at the aid stations and everything. Yeah, because I don't think I don't have any special food myself or anything like that. No, don't think I had like squeezies or anything like that then. I was just taking what was in the aid station, the drinks and the bananas and stuff. And no, it was actually more a fluke than anything, because I certainly felt it in other races that, nutrition's a big thing, and hydration.
Because that's something I was wondering, Fiona, and you say it was a fluke, and I was going to say, in other races, was it still a fluke, or did you have, did the nutrition become more important as time went on?
Well, I had more idea later on, but I didn't really then at all. Yeah, not that much.
There's nothing like just getting into a race and having a go and seeing what happens, right? It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the nice thing for you, I think Christine Horrocks was the rock star on the bike that day and was first off. But for you, with your running background, how did you feel when you got off the bike, knowing that you had one person in front of you there, and you're right up at the sharp end of the field? How confident were you feeling about the way the marathon was going to unfold for you?
Oh well, because I was a runner. That's the one of, well, can be a disadvantage or an advantage, but the advantage, at least you generally is your best leg last, so you can actually make up time and pass people if you're lucky. Yeah. So I guess just try to keep it reasonable pace and tick off the Ks, I guess. Yeah. I always remember it was a long way out to the turnaround. It was Pakuranga Highway, somewhere up there past the supermarket and stuff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're exactly right. And when you got off when you finished your swim and you finished your bike, did you think to yourself, gee whiz, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at the moment? I've got the marathon now. I'm more comfortable with my running. Were you fairly happy, do you remember?
Possibly, but I really can't remember. The only thing I can remember is when I was running, and so you went out to Pakuranga Highway and did the turnaround. You come back, and then because it was at St Heliers, the finish line, you had to actually pass the finish line and go out to Teal Park. And I always can remember the crowd at the finish line. It was just amazing feeling, sort of going through this big area of people for like 100 meters or something, or 50 meters, whatever it was, and they're all shouting and cheering, and then you carry on out to Teal Park, of course. But yeah, that was sort of quite amazing feeling, I think. Gave you
just a real lift.
Yeah,
gave you a real lift,
I think.
Yeah. At what point did you hit the lead?
I think I was in the lead then.
Yeah.
Somewhere up. I don't know if it's St Heart's College or somewhere up there. I don't.
Sacred Heart College up the top there.
Oh, I can't. I really can't. I think it was out that way, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I was in the lead at the turnaround.
It's not too far back to St Heliers from there. So
yeah. Did you have any dark times in the marathon? Did you did you ever sort of go through any sort of patches? You think, and then sort of suddenly bounce back from that, or was it sort of fairly steady throughout?
I really cannot remember. I only can remember going through that, back through the chute through all those people. I don't know, probably had hard times, part of it. I'm not sure. Really can't remember that. Can probably remember other races that were worse. Yeah, that I had hard times. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the last few Ks? And you can probably hear the music from the finish line, hear the finishing shoot, hear the crowds,
Yeah, I think
the PA.
after Teal Park turnaround, especially after the bridge all the way round, probably was quite reasonable. Yeah, because you knew it was flat, and then it was only so many more bays to go to get to the finish line. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can remember getting to Koe Marama, and that's the just around the corner. Yeah.
Describe the finishing shoot. Describe the last few hundred meters and what you were feeling and what you can recall.
I really can't remember. I only can remember that before. Um, I think I might have remembered, just crossing the line. You had that banner that you cross, but I'm not. I really can't remember too much.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. No, well, what was the reaction afterwards from family and friends, and so it's a massive achievement, and it's still
Absolutely.
sport in its infancy at that time. It's only it only started in '85, and here you are a few years later winning it. What was the reaction for people around you?
I think because I was there with friends and a group of people. That was I guess they were really happy, and then I always even can remember because I had a cup and going back on Air New Zealand and the stewards and that saying what that was for on that, and they're actually really nice. And then when I actually got to the airport at Dunedin, some friends actually had a sort of a surprise welcome, so that was quite nice. Yeah, when we got back home. Yeah.
Was it? I know Erin talked about it a lot at the time and fought pretty hard for it, but was it disappointing? The volume of work that you do in a sport like that, and no one on the back of an Ironman drives a Porsche, but you work a lot harder than a lot of other sports people. The lack of recognition in the wider media at that time, was that disappointing?
Possibly. Like I say, because it's new. Well, the only thing I can remember, it's really funny, is that the Otago Daily Times, so that's the Dunedin paper, they had a bit of a write up, and so John and Mark had gotten the top 5 or 6, well, definitely the top 10 places out of the guys, and then they had, I don't know, 2 or 3 columns, and then on the last column there was one paragraph at the end, and it said, "And Fiona McKee won the women's race."
Oh,
That was
goodness.
it. Oh man.
Really?
Yeah. And that's those were I suppose one of the other things I'm guessing that people probably asked you, are you going to do the coast to coast now? What's your kayaking like? Did people ask you that a lot? At the time, a lot of people still get confused between the multi-sport and triathlon thing.
Maybe not maybe them, but sometimes they do. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cool thing, you said you had your name on the cup and everything, Fiona. The cool thing is that it's still there.
Yeah.
So they've got the women's champions trophy and the men's champions trophy, and they've got every person that's won it for now 40 years is on there.
Still on there. They
I was
haven't
having a look at it. No, they haven't. No, it's still there. Looked at it. There it is.
Right.
1989 Fiona McKee. It's still sitting on the side of that trophy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's an historical piece, and it's great that your name etched on there. After that, after you achieved a goal like that, where did your sporting focus turn? Did you consider Kona?
I did do Kona that year. Because I actually, in the prize money, I got actually 2 airfares to Kona, to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because well, you didn't get so much money, but so they had airfares. So you had the first New Zealand male and female got a airfare ticket, and then the first winner in male and female got it. So I got 2.
Awesome.
So so I gave one to my boyfriend at the time, and Kona was not the best experience for me because I didn't finish and got taken away by an ambulance and had a couple of IVs. afterwards.
Oh dear.
Yep. All the fun stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Feedback. Yep. Anyway, we're back. All good.
That's
all right. And how far through the race in Kona did you get, Fiona?
I got onto the. So I biked, and I think I just drank too much water, and I didn't get any. I didn't take electrolytes, and then I just got hyponatremia.
Yeah.
And I started the run, and then I actually stopped out quite close to my condo, which was part on the course, and I thought I wasn't feeling very good, and then I think I walked onto an ambulance. I walked onto an ambulance, but then I was unconscious by the time I got to the medical tent.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How long did you sort of take to recover on the back of that? And did it sort of dent your confidence a wee bit in the sport, or
Well, that would have been October. No, I carried on, but I think possibly it's had some effect on me. But I just didn't make that much of it. That was just, I guess, a rookie training for it. The heat and everything else.
Yeah.
And
it was a long time before we sort of saw you back at Ironman New Zealand, but just something I picked up sort of reading some notes and things earlier on. It talked about you doing Ekiden racing in Asia, and this was something that I hadn't heard of before.
Oh yeah, Ekiden relay. I went to China for part of the New Zealand team, and they have a marathon, and then they split it up, and you do 5 or 10 or 7K. As a group. Yeah.
And so was that a focus for you for a few years? That was sort of the.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did do triathlons, but then I sort of stopped for a bit and did track running and Harriers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the following year I could have done the Ironman in 1990. I actually came to Auckland, but I actually didn't race because I don't know why I didn't do it, but I think that was for the Commonwealth Games, and I was concentrating on the shorter course rather than the long course, and I didn't think I'd done enough training for an Ironman, so I didn't do it.
Right. So were you looking for? Did you do Com Games? Were you?
Oh, that was it. That was the demonstration sport.
Yes. Yeah. And so you did do that demo race, because I think John Hellemans raced, I think, and Rick Wells and Erin won the women's race.
Yeah, I was in.
Yeah.
How cool's that?
Pardon?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't doing Ironmans and stuff then. Yeah.
How did your day go then at Com Games?
I had a good run, but I had a really rubbish. I had a rubbish swim because it was at Mechanics Bay, and I remember it must have been really howling northerly, and I can remember it was really horrible, choppy sea, and I didn't do particularly good. And then I had a bit of mechanical problems on my bike because I just changed my chain ring, and it was really hard to shift over. And anyway, I got through the bike, but it wasn't particularly good. And then I had a pretty fast run, but I was too far behind. But yeah.
Yeah, bit of catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And through all this time, you're sort of doing these events, and we'll get back to you sort of come back to Ironman in I think 94, but you're effectively racing as a pro, but you're working through all this time.
Yeah, I was
you're holding down
a
full-time job. Yeah. How difficult was that, juggling sport with work?
Well, it's a lot harder than you obviously don't get so much rest, and you've got to work. I think I had, with my work, that's reasonably flexible at times, so I could have a longer lunch or something sometimes if I want to go for a ride or a run. But it's just a lot harder.
Yeah.
And were you still based in Dunedin
Yeah, I
at
was in
that
Dunedin.
point, Fiona?
Yes.
Yeah. So 94, we see you're back at Ironman and you're on the start list there, and there's a bit of a rock star field there. Aaron Baker's back, and I guess he sort of shadowed you for a lot of that period of your career and so on. What was it like coming back? What drew you back to the start line?
Just give it another go. I think I might have had some friends racing too. Just age group friends and that.
Yeah. So it was just. It sounds as though, like, as much as anything, you were really good at the sport, but you just had a lot of fun. You just seemed to just really enjoyed the camaraderie of it as much as anything.
More I guess, it's when you're at the race, it's more social, because obviously training, you're doing it all by yourself, but most of the time, unless swimming, obviously you might see more people, but I guess it's once you're at the race or after the race and that you meet new people or you meet your old friends and stuff like that. That's always quite nice. Yeah.
So you came back and you're third in 94, and you come back again in 95, and there's a good old scrap with another Kiwi. It's not Erin this time, but it's Sue Clark.
Sue Clark, yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember much about that day and how close that battle was?
I think she might have been a bit ahead of me in the swim, and then another friend, I know she wasn't biking, sort of like a male friend of mine sort of area. And then I know she was ahead in the run and I didn't catch her. Yeah. But because I think she did the year before that, but she just finished, but she didn't do so well.
Yeah. Through this period, and you're back in 96, and you finish, I think, in top 5 there. You're in 5th place there. Did you do any other races overseas? Did you do any overseas campaigns at all?
I did some races in Canada. Did the Canadian Ironman 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Got the last time might have been 98, and I got 3rd, and I think I definitely got top 10 the other 2 times.
It's an awesome career with loads of podiums in there, because you come back to Auckland in 97, and you're 3rd behind Jan Wanklin and Lauren Alexander, and then in 98, and I'm guessing this is your last time racing as a pro. I think you finished 2nd behind Suzanne Nielsen, but was that your fastest ever race of Ironman New Zealand, and possibly your quickest marathon split?
It might have been, yeah, that one. It's right behind her in 98. Yeah, and then I did Taupo a couple of times, but the first time, next year, I didn't finish because I had a back problem. Pulled out, and then the following time I finished. Yeah.
Did you raced as an age grouper later on, something like 2003 or something like that? Was that you didn't? I saw you sort of named somewhere there. I probably got the year wrong and so on. But how did you like the Taupo course compared to the Auckland course?
No, it didn't really suit me so much.
Yeah.
Probably then, and also motivation, I guess. But I think when I was younger, it was harder, but I'd do more hills, and also my bike, it's because I had 26-inch wheels then, and I think Taupo was probably just about worse than Auckland at times. The seal and that was like really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And when was it that you I guess people never really finished racing, but when was your last Ironman?
Oh, that would have been Taupo in 01, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at that point, you were happy just to go, you know what, I'm done with it, or did you just drift away from it and not come back, or how did that?
Later. Yeah.
That happens to a lot of people.
Yeah,
Fiona,
but I mean, I guess I wasn't so motivated, I guess, too. Yeah.
So something that we haven't touched on through all this, parallel with it, you were also racing duathlon, and you did long course, golfing and so on. How did you that style of racing? Obviously, with your running background and confidence and running, how was that for you?
Yeah, Zoffing, I did. I started 4 times and finished twice. Yeah, the first time when I did it, that snowed and it was just too cold, so I pulled out on the bike. And then the next time running, on the first run, I actually pulled my calf muscle. So yeah, I just had to stop. and then the next 2 times, I got 2 top 10 placings. Yeah.
Wow.
But, and then I'd also done, did some Powerman racing too in 95, 96 and that. And did, a few different places in Europe and did the Australian one once too. Yeah. I think I got, best one was second in France, which was very hilly. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you look back on that Ironman career, Fiona, and you sort of reminisce about what you achieved and everything else, what do you feel about that? Was it just a phase in your life? I mean, you must be incredibly proud of what you achieved over those years.
Well, I had some good races, and I guess because my partner at that time, he also was doing some racing too, so that was, it's a lot easier when you got someone else doing the same stuff, rather than if you're by yourself doing it, and especially if you've got a partner that's not doing any sport, then you'd never see them, etc. So it's a lot harder.
Yeah. And it must have been pretty cool as you're sitting in an airport. It might have been a pain in the backside, I'm not sure, but sitting in an airport going, you know what, I've got my wetsuit and got my bike, I've got my stuff, and I'm literally going overseas to race. I mean, that must have been pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I was always worried about I guess like most people, excess luggage. Yeah.
And the bikes weren't exactly as light as they are now, right?
Yeah, or just everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Do you miss it? Do you think, I'd like to have even just a club race or anything? Do you sometimes sort of think, I'd like to get out there again?
No, I still run in that, and I mean, haven't been cycling much lately, and I still swim and cycle at different times, but no, I don't have, because also I guess you're always going to be slower too, so it doesn't. It's just pride. And just it's just the actual motivation to actually do it.
Oh, it's a big commitment, especially when you've had when you've performed at such a high level and had all the success that you had. It would be hard. And I've got no idea, right? I'm nowhere near the front of the pack. I'm way down the back somewhere, but it must be hard to motivate yourself when you've achieved so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just probably not into just having to finish it. I mean, that's the motivation enough for a lot of people, but probably not so much for me.
Yeah. Do you follow the sport now? Do you not just Ironman, but triathlon in general?
Sometimes I do, but I probably don't ask me to name who's in the Olympic distance squad or anything like that. I wouldn't know, but it's interesting when I hear about someone triathlon. If it's on TV or something, I might listen, but I probably don't really follow the sport so much. Yeah.
Do you ever get people tap you on the shoulder and say, "Are you that Fiona McKee that I remember, really good triathlete back in the day? And you were a really good runner, and I've got an issue with my running." And did you ever get that?
Oh no! I mean, some people, but not for a long time, might recognise me. But yeah.
Is it part of, like, for you? Is that just a life that you've kind of not turned off, but we all have
behind, you mean?
Almost multiple versions of ourselves. Yeah, but does it ever come up in conversation, or do you sort of go, someone might talk about an Ironman, you're like, yeah, you know what, I did all right at those back in the day, or is it not really a thing?
Not very often. Maybe sometimes, but not that often. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people just ask, do you do some sport or something? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, do
We
a wee
did a
bit.
little bit.
So I guess the message from Brian through Messenger saying, "Hey, would you want to have a chat on a podcast about your Ironman victory?" You're probably thinking, "What the heck do these guys want?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
well,
it's
yeah,
good fun.
yeah, Fiona, it's been fantastic, and we're really grateful to have spoken to you and that you've given your time. And it's it's important to us to document the history of Ironman New Zealand. And gosh, your career, multiple podiums in New Zealand, but success offshore as well. So it was a really well-rounded, deep career, and not just the New Zealand Ironman community, but the New Zealand sporting community. You're just one of those quiet achievers in the background. So it's been a real thrill for us to meet you and to chat with you, and just say, hey, look, well done, and thank you so much for joining us on the Old School Tri Show.
Okay, no, thank you very much.